Good morning. This is Keloland on the go with all you need to know in news and weather as you start your day.
Sioux Falls police say a teenager was taken to the hospital after a stabbing in western Sioux Falls over the weekend. It happened just before 5 o'clock Sunday morning at an apartment near 41st Street and Marion Road. Police say the victim suffered minor injuries. Authorities add that those involved in the incident have not been cooperating with their investigation. We expect to learn more at this morning's police briefing. You can watch it live right here on Keloland.com starting at 10:30. 6 people were hurt in a weekend crash in northeastern Sioux Falls. South Dakota Highway Patrol says it happened at the intersection of Rice Street and Veterans Parkway Friday night. An SUV failed to stop at a red light, hitting a minivan. 2 women in that minivan suffered serious non-life-threatening injuries. 4 of the 5 people inside the SUV also received serious non-life-threatening injuries. The youngest passenger, a 1-year-old, was not hurt. Authorities say charges are pending against the driver of the SUV. A report from South Dakota Newswatch says more students are going hungry after the free school meals program ended. So far this school year, 3,800 students are eating breakfast at school each day. That's around 3,000 students fewer than last year. Meanwhile, around 13,400 students are having lunch provided at school. That's around 3,100 students less compared to last year. For a closer look at how ending the program is impacting South Dakota students, check out the full story right here on Keloland.com. If you're a K-12 student in South Dakota and you have access to a decent internet connection, you have a new free tutoring resource, the Dakota Dreams online tutoring program.
Families can connect with online tutors staffed at Northern State University and Black Hills State University. The tutors are individuals who are studying to become teachers themselves, and families can schedule time with those tutors for help with homework or developing skills or knowledge in different subject areas from school. A parent or guardian does have to register. You can find a link with this story on Keloland.com. Well, now let's get a check of our morning forecast with meteorologist Scott Munt. Good morning, Scott.
All right, good morning, everybody. Relatively cool start to the day. Temperatures in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, but we will warm. Later this afternoon, temperatures easily above average, mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies. Numbers will hit the 70s and low 80s. And Brian Carsons will have details on much cooler air coming later in the week. He'll be back in a couple of minutes.
All right, thank you very much, Scott. A Viborg woman celebrated an anniversary she will never forget that was planned by her late husband, Ron Nygaard, before he passed away of Parkinson's disease last spring.
Last Tuesday, Teresa Nygaard was surprised with a full day of activities for their anniversary, including going to the casino, out to eat, shopping, and opening a special gift Ron picked out for her. Their daughter, Kristen Winteringer, helped her dad plan the day before he died.
We came to Mom's and walked in. My sister handed her a dozen roses. My dad always gave her flowers. And then handed her an envelope. Inside was a letter explaining what the day was about and how it came from Dad. And then kind of explained how the day would go.
Knowing that Ron had told Kristen all these things that he wanted me to do on my anniversary, that normally he would have done with me, but he wasn't able to, so he wanted the girls to do it with me. It was just an amazing day. So a day that normally would have been very sad for me turned out to be very, very happy.
Ron was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in the fall of 2014. He was also a Vietnam veteran. Last Tuesday would have been the Nygaards' 25th wedding anniversary. Hunting season is here in South Dakota.
The Game Fish and Parks Department's outdoor campus in Sioux Falls provides a variety of different classes geared to help everyone get out and start hunting. Now that the season is here, just around the corner, they are excited to see these students getting to use their new hunting skills.
We are really trying to get everyone out in the field. Pheasant hunting especially is a South Dakota tradition. It is good for fellowship, good for families, good for friends, and it's just a really fun time to get outside.
The traditional pheasant hunting season begins on October 15th.
Athletes from the United States had a strong showing at the World Archery Field Championships in Yankton. The U.S. won the compound mixed team competition during Saturday's finals, beating Germany by 6 points.
The U.S. men's team won the bronze medal, with Sweden taking the gold medal. Italy captured the women's team competition, with Spain finishing second.
Individual competition wrapped up yesterday. Italy finished in first with 9 total medals, with the U.S. teams coming in at second with 7 and third with 6.
Well, following a 2-year break due to COVID-19, a tradition is returning to downtown Sioux Falls this morning. The Native American Day Parade activities get underway with a prayer at 9 o'clock in Lyon Park, followed by a fun run at 10:45.
The parade starts at 11 at 13th and Phillips. It will feature jingle dancers, Dakota 38 riders, Indigenous warrior women, and drums. And that's a look at some of our top stories.
Now let's give you one last look at your weather with meteorologist Brian Karstens. Good morning, Brian.
All right. Good morning, guys. Good morning, everybody. Weather today after some cool or chilly 30s out there for some of us. We're back to the 70s. This afternoon for several locations. Even a few 80s may show up in south central South Dakota. So, yes, indeed, that is going to definitely be a topic of conversation today. Tonight, too, fairly mild, I think, for the most part here into the 50s. And then tomorrow, well, here comes the next cold front. It's already making a big difference in Rapid City. 3 o'clock in the afternoon in the low 50s with some wind, maybe a few showers. Sioux Falls, though, still at that point of the day, probably here into the upper 70s and low 80s. So, again, those are some things that we'll continue to watch here in our forecast. All right, let's take a look at the winds as well. Now, south winds to start. That's in the forecast today. And then we're going to see those winds switching to the northwest tomorrow. They'll be quite gusty, central and west. And then everybody will shear in on a strong northwest wind on Wednesday. And that could easily be 40 to 50 miles per hour. All right, let's take a look at the forecast today. 78 degrees in Mitchell, 80 Chamberlain. Up and down we go here. We're going to drop into Wednesday, drop into Thursday. Then we swing back up here Friday, Saturday, mid-60s. But then Sunday, well, that could be a more dramatic shift. We've got a little time yet to watch that one. But we've been speculating about mid-October past the 15th if we'd see a bigger dive in temperatures. And I do think that we're starting to see more data linked to that now. And so you'll hear more about that later in the week. Aberdeen, same idea, a couple days in the 70s. Although tomorrow, we're going to have to get that front to slow down a little bit here. If we make it to 74, it'll probably be early afternoon at best. And then dropping from there. Pierre would be in that same category. Relatively early daytime high there in the mid-70s through the lunch hour, and then dropping in the afternoon. And for Rapid City, probably only making upper 60s. And then as we just showed you, in the afternoon tomorrow, quite a bit colder than that. And it should stay again in the 50s with all that wind on Wednesday. Find out more coverage online at KENNELLAND.com.